Hey podcaster, I'm Tim Wahlberg, your podcast performance coach, with another actionable tip so you can sound like a pro and gain more podcast fans. Today's tip is super simple, sanity-saving editing tips. If you edit your own podcast episodes, I'm going to give you a few universal tips that should help speed things up and save you a lot of these kind of moments. Oh, crap. Damn it. Undo. Come on. You gotta be kidding me. Why? ¿Por qué? I recently was going back and forth with someone who reached out in an email. Her and her husband were just about to start their brand new podcast. She was hoping to save some time editing, so she looked up a few tips on YouTube. A very good idea. Long story short, she kept editing and mixing down and saving along the way. Now, I'm not exactly sure how she was doing this, but at the end of it, she found out that all of her tracks were compounding that volume, and she was saving it as she was going. But it was doing this to the original files, and that meant she couldn't undo any of the harsh volume increases to these files, and all of her originals became simply unusable, overmodulated pieces of noise. So, tip 1 is to save a backup file. Here's how I do this, and I've been doing this for years. I'm talking about as soon as you press stop on your recording, you save that audio track into your episode folder. Yes, every episode has its own folder. Staying organized as an editor will save you a ton of time and frustration. So when you save it, label it properly with the number of your episode, something like 23-mindset-Jill Smith _raw. That's capital R-A-W. So there you go. There's your raw file. Now, immediately after that, copy and paste that same file in that same folder. Just copy, then paste it. So you have 2 of the same versions of it, and then relabel it, right? So you've got 23-mindset-Jill Smith _edit. Not raw, but edit. Double check that they're the same file size and use that second file you created with the edit label when you edit your show. That's the one you're dragging into your project. For all of your original source audio you create, you should always make a backup copy of it. Label it raw so you know it's the original. Because when you get burned, and I mean when, because you will, you'll have a raw version you can pull from to start over or fix an edit you messed up on. And if you have to, it's a lot easier to start from scratch when you have the original files intact. Okay, tip number 2. When you are editing, if you have a free hand, you're doing it wrong. I'll say it again. If you're drinking coffee or on the phone with one hand whilst editing, you're doing it wrong. Editing is a two-handed job. Your other hand should be on your keyboard and not doing anything else. Let's say you're right-handed. Your right hand should be on your mouse. Yes, the mouse. Don't use your trackpad on your laptop to edit. It'll drive you crazy. And while your right hand is on the mouse, your left hand is always on the spacebar, hitting play or pause, play, pause, or one of the shortcut helper keys. Use 2 hands to edit. There. I've just doubled your productivity. You're welcome. The only other thing your left hand should be doing is continually hitting Apple S, Control S, Apple S, Control S. That brings me to tip number 3, save your work. Over 25 years of radio productions, I've lost my share of projects. Sometimes due to machine crashes, software issues, or other reasons. Most, if not all of those projects, could have been salvaged if I had just saved my work more frequently. Nowadays, I save at least once every 30 seconds, if not more, when I'm editing. Sometimes in Google Docs, when the saving is automatic, I'm still catching myself. Control S, Control S, Control S. Make this a habit somehow while you're editing. Put a save your work poster up in your editing room if you need to. Trust me, you will thank me later. Control S, Control S, Control S. That's what you got to keep in mind. Keep doing it. Keep doing this. I know for a lot of you podcasting, editing is a real chore. It's a real burden. And if you're not prepared to pay someone to do it, you're going to do it yourself. So make editing easier on yourself, starting with your next episode. Always save a raw backup version of your original files. Always use two hands when editing to speed things up. And save your work constantly. And I hope these are the 3 super simple, sanity-saving editing tips you need. If you're curious about what software, mics, or equipment I use, check out my resources page on my website. I list all the stuff that I use there. Or if you want to talk about how to get your podcast started right from the beginning, including whether or not editing is a part of that, book your free 15-minute coaching call with me, and I'll walk you through it. Just go to podcastperformancecoach.com. I'm Tim Walbert. See ya!